Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Brown Mouthwash. That is BROWNMOUFWASH. As you can see, maybe if you're not watching this, you can't see nothing. But as you can hear
and imagine,
I am joined today by my two siblings. This is
Lauren,
and this is
Yasmine,
and I am Matthew, your host. We have a beautiful show planned for you today, but of course, every morning starts with a swig of mouthwash. Today's mouthwash is 12% alcohol. We have rum chata, which is a
Caribbean rum
from the islands. And this one has almond milk
from Food Line.
Cheers. Smooth.
Delicious.
I can taste the gold.
There's a few shots you can make with rum chata, actually. Fireball rum chata makes a cinnamon toast crunch.
Ooh.
Add a little cinnamon on top of there.
I like
Delish. One of my college faves.
And don't they also make coquito with?
Coquito on the holiday time. All of my Puerto Rican friends, shout out to them. Love a good coquito. Just saying. Please save me a bottle.
It's a great
Yes,
time.
a bottle. That would be amazing. Okay, I'm sorry. Move on.
I just realized you said a bottle and like
because you can,
a whole, yeah.
Because you can like recycle, because recycling's the thing to do. And then the coquito that you make homemade, just put it in that bottle.
And just
Christmas.
keep it. Boom.
There you go.
Period. Twice.
Yeah.
I like that. Exactly. So, and I mean, there's a lot that you do almond milk too, usually with your cereals and.
She didn't really have almond milk. I just want to point that out there.
She had oat milk. Okay, so we have a lot of great segments. If you didn't watch or listen to episode 1, here's the rundown of how Brown Mouthwash works. We start every morning with the first pour. The first pour is current events or relevant topics that have to do with today's society or our daily lives. We follow that with the swish. The swish is the main point of discussion, and that varies from episode to episode based on who's here and what we have to talk about. Next up is the gargle. The gargle is whenever we give advice / Q&A. So if you have any questions or anything you want our advice on, send it to brownmouthwash@gmail.com. That is BROWNMOUFWASH@gmail.com. After the gargle, of course, we spit. And spit is simply just random shower thoughts that you might have, things you just want to, spit out. Not necessarily connected to anything, but feels good to get that just on the table or in your sink. And then lastly, we have the burn. If you know anything about brown mouthwash, you know that it has a good burn. So as appropriate, we take something that really just is getting to us, grinding our gears, stuck in our teeth, if you will, and it just gets out. We burn that. So let's get right into the first pour. I think that something that is obviously relevant to a lot of us, or all of us right now, is quarantine because of our good friend Rona. So what are some things that you guys have been doing to stay active or productive during this quarantine?
Well, I'll go first. So I would say for me, I've really picked up on fitness since I've been in quarantine. I'd say definitely the last maybe 2 or 3 months versus the first 2 or 3 months. I don't know if everybody's heard of like the Rona 15. I didn't quite get the 15, maybe like that Rona 5, maybe that 5, pick that up in the first couple of months. So I definitely had to figure out like what was I going to be able to do, not even to just lose weight, but to primarily keep my health up to par. With a lot of the gyms closed, a lot of the classes and like physical activities kind of being shut down. I definitely had to figure out, different trails around where I live, different parks, different things to do outside, and just find different ways to keep myself busy and get some fresh air. That was the biggest thing. So health was definitely a big turning point for me during this time, and I've tried to keep it up even till now.
What about you? What have you been doing during this quarantine, Yasmine?
I've just been finding a solid balance between self-care and actually staying on top of everything, being that online classes are not my best friend.
Oh, yes.
And
still in school.
and I've just been trying to find a good balance between that. So doing a lot of work on some days, which like taking some days like off and really just taking time for myself. I've been cooking a lot more. That's been fun. Making a lot of smoothies. So just
You do a lot of smoothies.
You do smoothies. Yeah. Yeah, personally, it's been weird because everybody kind of transitioned to that work from home for quarantine, except me. So I gotta do like a half in, half out thing every week. So I'm like in for 3 days, at home for 2. So getting adjusted to that kind of schedule, I think, has been interesting, and finding time to invest into other things that I like to do creatively. So I really got a chance to. I actually like finished my album, my music project over quarantine.
Which is dope. Go get it if you haven't got it.
You know.
It's so cool. It's official. And
it's called La Jane Doe, if you want to look it up. LAJANE Doe by Sitch, SITCH. Don't type in my name because you won't get me. You get a whole bunch of random white men. And don't type in Stitch because it's just not who I am. Sitch. SITCH. But I finished that in July, which was cool because you had the extra time without being able to go places. And then I also kind of got into some other things I like to do. We started this podcast. So
for the podcast.
Of course. Mouthwash. So I think it's cool to that quarantine is giving people a lot of time to be more introspective and to be more exploratory. Yes.
That's it.
With things that they would like to do. So yeah, anything else quarantine related or that you guys have kind of been keeping up with?
Netflix.
Oh yes.
Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Prime. All the streaming services have really just come up on my list of favorite things to do because there aren't many others out there. So, been doing a lot of, or earlier I would say, doing a lot of TV watching. I watched a 60-episode telenovela in Spanish.
Oh my God.
It was great.
Yo, the Celia Cruz joint.
I don't speak Spanish, right? But it was amazing. Finding new movies, documentaries. Yeah.
You got me into watching TV because I never watched TV until I came here.
And of course, Lovecraft. Can we talk about it?
Oh,
Lovecraft is just, it's just a key to my heart. I don't have many keys, but they got one of them. And I think that it was just amazing. It was amazing. We just finished up, Yas and I just finished up the season finale today. We were late, we know it, but it was good. It was good. Praying for a season 2. Mm-hmm. HBO put them on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely looking forward to that. Misha Green, Mr. Peel, love y'all.
Speaking of series, though, I think there have been a good number of like good series that came around. Because let's see, what else is there? I personally love Schitt's Creek. I know that's been on for like years on real TV, but I binged the whole 5-6 seasons. And the 6th season was recently put on Netflix, and I finished that in like 2 days. Also, Little Fires Everywhere.
Love Little Fires.
That was a great series.
Solid.
It was so much.
It was.
But it was so well done. I mean, shout out to the Kerry Washington face.
Never fails.
Okay, one thing about Kerry is that she won't give you that face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a great series. I actually got into this other show. It's very wholesome. It's this like British baking show. The Great British Bake Off. Yeah. It's just so wholesome because I learned this from a good friend of mine. They are not allowed to compete for money on television shows in Britain. Completely foreign to us,
right.
No pun intended. But we've been doing that since like Fear Factor. But it's so wholesome because they're just supportive of each other and they all bond. And
so is this a new thing? Like, can they compete for money or like what do they win?
I don't know
bragging
what
rights.
It's just an experience.
It's just the experience.
For the experience.
It's just like home bakers, and so a lot of them suck, and some of them don't.
And they're not really mean either. They're just kind of
They don't. They like.
They're like, what do you win? Like, what's the point of the show?
I mean, I know that every week there's a star baker, and then there's one that goes home. I don't know what the ultimate winner gets.
It's like employee of the month.
Pretty much.
There's not like a debit card you could win later. Like,
You win like the cloud of being a good British baker.
It's like bake cake.
I would never watch
Is that the
show.
gold stars on SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Like, you get a participation trophy? Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna trash it. I haven't seen it, but I'm just saying the concept is wild to me.
Each week is a different item to bake. So there's like a cake week and a biscuit week and a bread week.
Which is fine. I just need some
biscuits.
bread,
Oh.
like some dollars
Yeah.
for that.
Some
But
dollars.
Our biscuits for them are scones.
Or cookies.
No, for them biscuits are cookies.
Okay. Yes.
And for them scones are our biscuits.
I thought scones and biscuits were fundamentally different.
I mean, they are to us.
Oh, but to them,
But
they're
to
one and
them.
the same.
Yeah.
Biscuits are just different kinds of scones.
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. We
If
need to
they
get a
even
British
have our
franchise.
If they even have our biscuits.
It's like a
Wow.
triangle like situation.
What if they don't even make biscuits like we make biscuits at all?
I don't know. I've never been to any of those places.
That's
All over
interesting.
Britain.
Well, if anybody has ever been there or lives there or whatever, just let us know. Our scones, biscuits, and biscuit scones. Or is it like a rectangle square thing? Squares are rectangles, but all rectangles aren't squares.
I'm not from that subject.
It's literally it's shapes.
No, not that.
Oh,
The biscuits.
I was like,
No.
how much does it take to be pro for that shapes? Okay, well, I guess. Well, that was so much for the first four. It's kind of shaky. Let's get into the swish. So today I wrote some things down. It's not on there. I wrote it down myself. Okay, so I have a question for the table. It's kind of open-ended, but I kind of want to hear what you have to say. What lights your fire? So what are you passionate about? What kind of gets you motivated? What gets you up and going? Like, what is your life's mouthwash, if you will? That was pretty bad.
You want to go first?
So I think something that I'm passionate about, definitely like in all aspects of life, is probably just helping others. I know it sounds like a basic, like, oh, answer. But no, like it's something really that's actually fun to do, and it takes up a lot of your time, but it can also make you feel like good, so it's not like a waste of time. So like you can do it in volunteering, you can do it in just like going to the grandma, clean or whatever, do her yard, you can do it like clean someone's car out. Just like all kinds of things. It's just like a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think family is a huge motivator for me. Just being able to help out where you can. Be an example, run some ideas by some folks, have good conversations. Even in quarantine, setting up some Skype sessions, some Zoom sessions, and just checking in on everybody and seeing how everyone is doing. Everybody handles being in quarantine differently. And I think, now more than ever, we're seeing how important family is and how important staying connected with your friends and with your coworkers and folks who, from back home, whatever, like staying connected and keeping each other motivated and passing along those positive vibes in the midst of everything, I think has been really, really important.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. I think for me, like what lights my fire is seeing other people doing what they're passionate about as well. So that ties in with both of what you guys were saying, whether it's something that I could have helped with or did, help somebody do or encourage somebody to do. And then also with family, I think that is one of the most touching things, especially in our family, because we grew up all around each other, like all of our cousins and aunts, uncles and stuff. So we've literally been side by side watching everybody go through their milestones and stuff. And for me, it's heartwarming to see whenever somebody finally like gets that opening they were waiting for, or gets that job opportunity they've been trying for a while. And I don't know, I think it's dope to see those people thrive, and then that encourages me to continue working toward what I want to do, because I know that support goes both ways. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And honestly, it's great that we are privileged enough to have a supportive base like that, from which to grow that fire or that passion, and that we have people around us that are supportive of the things we're passionate about too. Because not only does it make it easier for us to feel uninhibited by going for what we love, but it also makes those things that we may be a little less confident about easier to accomplish too. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. That actually brings me to a part two. So with us three being siblings, what maybe are some ways, or maybe like a significant way, that you think we've kind of lit a fire for each other, if that makes sense?
Well, one, we live together, so that's not new, but that's new.
Yeah.
So we obviously grew up together in the same house, but then once everybody went to college and kind of went their own separate ways, now Rona has brought us all back together. Ironically. So I think that's been different. And really just getting to know each other as people, as adults, respecting the grind. Like all of us work really hard, and, working multiple jobs, or, pursuing your passion, your career, just seeing that and kind of being in that environment where you're able to grind and do your own thing, and be around other people who are in that same space. I think that's really motivating in general. We're all trying to start a business as well, so that's something that's different and new, that's coming out. It will come out before 2020. Praise God.
Before 2020?
2021. Excuse me, 2021. So I mean, things like that. I think we've definitely been. Don't do that. Y'all know what I mean. It's gonna come out this year. But things like that, I think we've definitely been working on, trying to get our money saved, trying to get our credit right, trying to, improve upon ourselves and make the most of the time that we have. I think that's really been the thing that's been most prominent in our household. So hopefully that, is also happening in others.
Yeah, I think you pretty much summed it up. I think a unique thing about having siblings around and having them so close is that, and I mean, it's a good and a bad at everything, but we know each other arguably the best. And of course, now that we live together, we see a lot more of the details of each other and just the day to day. So while it informs you on how to best encourage the person or your siblings, but it shows you where those pitfalls might be. But it gives you an opportunity to kind of encourage them to work on those areas specifically as well. Whereas your friends may not see every side of you or in the same kind of way. So I think that, just personally speaking, I've seen all of us kind of poke at those places of okay, you need to step up, or you need to work harder, or are you doing well? I can tell that something's off. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very iron sharpened iron relationship that I think we built, and I think that that's really cool.
I think kind of in that, one thing I've kind of noticed is just with us growing up together as siblings, but also us all being adults and living separate lives and just coming back together, we've just been able to really appreciate the duality that's there. It's who we know and who the person actually is, and kind of seeing how those things are in play and seeing how we can work with both of those people in one. And it's actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I need you to bring around the you that's around your friends. You know what I'm saying?
What's that mean?
Because she's different.
What's that mean?
She ain't the same as the person that be here on the couch. You know what I'm saying? Like
I don't know. I ain't never been around her little friends, so
I just see her energy just lights up. She just off the wall.
You mean she in the house or she
do.
You
remember that Truth commercial with the girl that smoked pot and she like deflated on the couch?
Maybe she just be wanting to chill.
Can I not just relax? You guys get the hype now, low key, little bit, But we go out to places that have food with hype, okay? Yeah. At home, chill. I don't see this.
There's nothing wrong with that, duality. I'm cool with that.
But where do you want? Like, where do you want?
Like, she don't even meet you where you are. Like if you come home excited about something, you be like, yes, gotta watch the next episode of Lovecraft. She'd be like, okay. Sure. And I'm just like, dang, you can't even meet her halfway. Like,
it's fine. I know her excitement on the inside.
On the inside. Because what you don't want me to do is be fake on the outside. Because they're going to be upset. Because they're going to be upset. Okay, Lauren, come home. See why I watch Lovecraft. Come home. See why I watch Lovecraft.
Yes. Episode 10 of Lovecraft just aired. Do you want to watch it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Watch it right now.
Watch it right now.
Then she's mad.
And then I'm just like, you would never say that ever.
Right. Because you know who I am. I'll be like, let's do it. And she's like, okay,
that's
she's
true.
Down.
Yes, that's
she's like,
true.
she's down.
That
And it's chill.
Yeah.
There's no bells and whistles. There's no circuitry.
Because then you see the excitement. You see the excitement in her actions. Okay, so when we watch Lovecraft, okay, this is the thing. When we watch Lovecraft, we gotta set the mood, right? Okay. So usually it's at night, and I light my candles.
At least two
candles.
On the middle table.
Middle table in the center. Lights have to be off. The stove lights stay on. Black house stove. The stove lights stay on. The lamps come off. The candles are set. I may have a glass of wine and or popcorn, depending on the night, or both. And we really got to set the mood. And she know what it is. So I say, let's watch Lovecraft. Oh, we both get to step and make that move set.
Laptop down.
Okay? So we can go ahead and watch the show and get the full experience. I'm telling you. So it's a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yes. Oh, but yeah. So yeah, I love that. We're gonna move on. So the next segment we have coming up is what do we do? The gargle. Yes, advice, Q&A. But before we get to that, we have a word from our sponsors. Still no sponsors. Okay, so we're gonna go into the gargle. That is advice or Q&A. If you have any questions that you want to be answered or anything you'd like advice on, again, send that to brownmouthwash@gmail.com or DM us at brownmouthwashpod on Instagram and Facebook. So my question, since anybody sent us nothing, is to you all. What is one piece of advice that you have for your other siblings? It could be personal, it could be general, but a little nugget of wisdom. Marinate a little bit.
Well, something that they always used to say at Pine and Grove, but you don't really realize until you get older.
Yes.
Is, put God first in all that you do. And I don't know, you never really get that saying until you grow up and you have to be on your own and you kind of have to deal with your own mess at the time. But, I don't know. Jesus will always be your friend when nobody else is there, when nobody else is there to lean on and talk to confide in. He will always be there for you, and that definitely gets you through the darkest time that you think you will ever have. And to piggy off of that, the darkest time that you will ever have may not be the only dark time, and it won't be the last. So having him as your friend, as your light, as your leading being in your life, definitely will help you get through additional hard times because they will come. So, yeah, that's my piece of advice.
That's a good one. I like that.
I'm still trying to think. I have to like.
Okay. Oh, okay. We'll come back to you, Yasmine. For me, I think my best thing is just don't be afraid of being yourself, and whatever that looks like, and continue to grow in the comfort of who that is. I think that especially growing up in our family, like we have a lot of traditional mindsets that kind of just lay under the scenes, but it's just those unspoken, understood things and rules, quote unquote, in the family. And sometimes you just don't fit that. So for me personally, like I'm an artsy boy who didn't play sports, in the family full of like athletes and that super like hot masculine energy that goes around, and I mean you face some flack for that, but over time I learned that there was nothing wrong with what my interests were. It just wasn't the same as most everybody else in the family at the time, and it is what it is. And over time, people come to see what you work on and see what you do and see what you're passionate about, and they rock with it or they don't. Fortunately for me, like they rock with it. That's why I continue to pursue what I want to pursue. But I mean, it's a huge mental game sometimes. So I think my best thing would just be okay with you and whoever that is at that time, and the fact that they will change as you grow. Because that's your business.
Yes, Tab.
Yes, Tad.
Shout out to Tab.
Shout out to Tad. Tad the Brown.
Making it, doing it big.
If you need any guests for dinner,
with the veganism,
we'll do it. Ain't nothing wrong with a vegan meal.
Ain't nothing wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So, I think since I have been taking so much time to find my own balance of self-care over the past.
Since I'm phenomenal now.
Since
I've blossomed. Since I've bloomed.
Since I've arrived.
I have arrived. Yes. We're done. Okay, we're done.
So I take so much time. I think one thing I've definitely learned I think I could pass on to you guys is if as far as taking time for yourself as self-care doesn't have to just be like not doing any work, just sitting back and just like being lazy, and that's like totally disconnecting. You can have different forms of self-care. So it could be like staying connected to work, but like doing it in different ways, more relaxing or more at a relaxed pace. Or it could be like actually focusing on yourself, like skincare, like you said, fitness, like that. It could just be like eating better to fuel your work life better. It could be like all kinds of certain things. It doesn't just have to be like, there is no one way to self-care. And I do think that's just like good.
That's a good point.
That is good. I like that. Awesome. That was a good gargle, y'all. All right, now it's time to spit. So are there any like random thoughts or like one-off things that come to you sometimes?
You should start.
Okay. I think it's wild how mirror has 6 letters and half of them are R's.
That's the random thought that comes to you?
Yeah. I got this boat of like how many words do that. Door, 4 letters, half of them are O's. How you do that?
I don't know.
Who are you?
I mean, who made this language? Have you ever thought about how like you got the same letter patterns in words, but they all sound different?
Yeah. They be messing them children up, boy.
Right. Like book.
They be getting so mad. They get so mad. I have god kids and they get so mad when the letters don't sound like the teacher said the letter's supposed to sound like.
Right.
Because the English language borrows so many sounds for syllables and consonants that it just when they're together, it messes up. Oh, they get mad. Sound terrible.
I saw one like little kid, they were given the word cicada. Now, if you know cicada is spelled Cicada, the two C's don't sound the same, and the two A's don't sound the same.
No, they don't.
So,
ooh, I hurt for them.
Cicada. Like what? They were mad, and kids like legitimately get upset.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Like upset.
It just shows how complicated our language is compared to like other languages.
Yeah.
Because like in Spanish, all the vowels, like no matter what, just sound the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Like some of the consonants sound different, like depending where it is. But all the vowels sound the same. It's like it's just a steadfast thing.
Yeah.
Ah is ah is ah.
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Like.
Oh.
Shout out to the education.
Ooh, like
Education.
cicada.
No, I don't have any random thoughts like that. No, I just
Your mind doesn't wander.
I mean, it be wandering,
No.
but I don't really recall what exactly I be thinking about.
I think I have a small one.
Okay.
I am I've learned this semester especially, I'm very appreciative of having intersectional history teachers.
Ooh, I love your history teacher too. Tell them about it.
So glad. Because like growing up,
it's the same.
What's the difference?
Growing up, literally all my history teachers were white men. And that was basically it. But coming to college now, my history teacher is a white man, but he's also, not a white man, a white, I would say person. They're trans, so they go as for they. And they also have a different sexuality. They have different experiences, but they also bring different experiences into our classroom. They acknowledge other sex because they are also intersectional themselves. And through all the years I've been in history, we never really acknowledged, especially this semester, we never acknowledged like different holidays, different like cultural holidays, different like cultural months, like Native American history months like that. But this history teacher in particular, they have let us take breaks to acknowledge these like different things that happen in history to different cultures. But when we even started our class, they were just like, at first, like to start by saying, this is not our land that the school is built on. It's built on like this land. Right. And just to pay homage to that. And I think that's really interesting. You get a lot more perspective than you would just having a teacher that wants to teach their own type of way.
And it's so important to have teachers like that to normalize that type of holistic history telling. We all grew up in Fayetteville, so it's diverse, but it's not that diverse, especially when it comes to the education system, because at the end of the day, you have to go by what the school will tell you to teach. So you don't really get to learn history as history academically until you get to college, or perhaps take some community college classes. But I was a teacher too, because we all be learning. Shout out to NC State for their virtual classes. But yeah, Mixed Maddie C, that's the homie. And I will say that, it is very enlightening and just all around really motivating to hear history being taught for what it is, how it is. So I'm a history buff. I learned these things on my own. I like watching documentaries. I like reading books. I like going to historic sites, museums, what have you. So I love to learn this stuff on my own, primarily because it was never taught to me. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the history that goes on in this country, it was meant to not be taught as the broader scale of educational topics. So it's super important to have folks who are dedicated to telling history for what it is, how it happened, when it happened, and getting that truth out there so that generations to come are more caught up on the real, on the perspective, on what really happened, so they can then not repeat history, not repeat those same mistakes, even though we're all kind of doomed to do that too. But nevertheless.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So you talk about things like lighting your fire, like, well, that's our fire. That relit my fire to figure out like what actually happened, or what we actually came from, something like that. Mm-hmm. Because between this semester and last semester, being in an African American history class, and then being this modern American history class that encompassed all of modern American history, like all different aspects and sides, instead of just one streamline. Like this was white America doing this. It was just like everything else. I really just know like, this is actually what happened, and you should be fired about stuff like that, because I did not learn that coming up.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could have been different. Maybe I could have had a different perspective, or I could have shared different things with other people if I would have had that growing up. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely lit my fire to just like learn more and do more and spread more that's being given to me right now.
Yeah. And a really important thing that this kind of overall brings is, well, with intersectionality comes different interests, right? So if you get a Black teacher teaching history, there hopefully is going to be more of an innate interest in Black history, or at least like that perspective. You have a trans history teacher, right? Who is also not heterosexual. So those bring personal interests that can be incorporated to the existing curriculum that may not have been made by people that don't identify that same way. And I think that that's something we can take into every field that we're in. Right. For me, I'm a graphic designer at primary care. Whenever I got there, because I'm in the marketing department, I obviously looked at the marketing materials, and the stock imagery that we were using even was not representative of a lot of different culture. So one of my main missions personally was to integrate a lot of different kinds of people into our imagery. So in our marketing, after I started, my boss and I talked about it, had a whole conversation, and we were like, we need to get more Black families on these brochures. We need to get more Hispanic families on the website. We need to get more Asian representation into our email blasts, etc., so on and so forth. Even with our internal messaging, we have a newsletter that goes out every month to employees for benefits and stuff. So one header image one month might be like a pride parade. The next month might be an old couple. The month after that might be a young family, like, or a single mother. You know what I'm saying? Especially in a field like primary care or like with history, things that span broad demographics, it's so crucial to make sure that what you're putting out reflects who you're talking to.
Right.
That's
representation matters.
Yeah, everything. And so whenever there's this whole conversation about TV and media and stuff like that, like it makes sense to show what America looks like, because it's American television, it's American consumption. So yeah, interests, influence, period. That was good. Cool. So we've reached our last segment, and this segment is called The Burn. So if there's anything that's just burning you up inside, and it's like a fire shut up in your bones that you just have to get out, now is the time to do so. Anyone want to start? Me again?
Yep.
Okay, well, wear a mask, period. I don't understand why it's such a political issue for people to wear a mask. I just don't get it. I feel like people try to say that it's a leftist type of ideology. Not really. It's a human thing. Masks they just work. They just do what they're supposed to do. I saw this video, this girl who was trying to disprove the effectiveness of masks by like blowing the fire out through the mask. Like, because the whole argument, very, very simply put, that's a typological fallacy when you oversimplify things. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, she's like, if masks are supposed to stop the virus from getting through, then why does this work? She put the mask on, put a lighter up to it, and blew through the mask, and it blew the flame out. She's like, it must not work. And then she took a spray bottle and the mask and like squirted through the mask, and the water started coming out the other side. And she's like, see, it's useless. And I'm sitting there like, and I mean, there was a part two where some lady responded to it, but I'm just like, well, first of all, if you are close enough to somebody as you were to that lighter when you were blowing through that mask, then of course something gonna get through that mask onto that other person. But if you also wear a mask and stay 6 feet away from people, there's no way it's gonna get that far. You know what I'm saying? With the water thing, like, are you just like drooling through the mask?
You don't breathe that hard.
And nobody should breathe that hard. Like, nothing that leaves your orifices on your face should be that strong to permeate that mask. And then the other thing too is like masks everybody's like, a mask is not going to stop me from getting the virus. I mean, yes, even the box says that, but it stops you from giving it to other people. Like,
and they know that. I mean, at the end of the day,
or at least like slows it down.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and there's plenty of evidence that proves that it works. There's plenty of countries that have their rates have significantly decreased because of the PPE gear that they've mandated people to wear, the rules that they've mandated people to follow, and so there's statistical evidence to show that it works. It's people, Americans especially, who are so individualistic and so me, that they don't think about the collective well-being of people.
Right.
If we have that collective theory of thought and then put that into action, we as a society will be a better society in general. And that's on a number of topics.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, people just out here trash.
Yeah.
Also, if you're going to wear a mask, please wear it right. Because there are people at work, there are people actually on the street all the time, just like mask up here, mask like their nose out, they got the bottom lip. Like, what are you doing? Like get together.
Bottom lip.
I just don't understand. Or they have like no
catch that your bottom lip.
That bottom lip.
That bottom lip was a big. It was a big old lip.
You just leave the mouth open.
You can't breathe your nose.
I notice like they'll put the mask on but only wear like under their chin or something. I'm just like, what's the point?
The chin strap.
I know one thing that's been burning me up, man. Like I, go to the grocery store or, go pick up some things real quick, come back home. But like, I know we've all been in the house for like several months, and I'm personally a fan of athleisure wear, hence my nice hoodie I have on here. So I'm cool, I get it. Like, people wear what you want to wear. It's Corona, like, do what you want. However, hygiene, still a thing. Still a thing, people. Did not go anywhere. Didn't go anywhere, didn't leave, didn't take a vacation. Hygiene, always been, should be a main priority. Please just showers, okay? Brush your hair. Deodorant's amazing. Lotion's even better. The cold is coming. Okay, we don't need to be seeing winter feet in the summertime.
Gross
I
sisters blue.
I can't. Like, hygiene, people.
And that combined with not wearing the mask, right? Like, people just don't brush their teeth. And like, I should not smell you. Like, it's
that part.
Like,
That part.
And you're speaking, I should not catch hints. Like,
Ooh, that whiffs.
Right.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Especially if you're 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
And I still catch something in the nostril.
I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like death is coming.
Okay.
Ugh.
And then because it's a fact that you can't smell nothing unless a particle of such thing is actually like in your nose. That's how smell works.
Right.
So the fact that that's in my nose,
Terrible.
it's gross. That obviously means that not enough people are taking their daily swig of mouthwash.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
And with that, I think we can wrap this episode up.
Let's wrap it up.
Well, thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Yasmine, for joining me on episode 2 of Brown Mouthwash. I think today's swig was refreshing. Now we're ready to go about our day. Have the most amazing day. Even if you can't, I'm not going to take her thing. But yes, join us next week for another minty fresh episode of Brown Mouthwash. Again, if you want to connect with us, you can follow us at Brown Mouthwash Pod on Instagram and Facebook. Email us if you want at brownmouthwash@gmail.com. Look out for us on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, and some other things that are going to be added as the show goes on. And do you guys care about people following you personally?
I'm good on that.
Oh, okay. Well, don't follow them at all, but follow the podcast. And we will see you when we take our next swig of Brown Mouthwash. Be blessed. Okay.